is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Centerland's Chiefs are now, I think, 13-3. They've won 7 or 8 in a row. They won again last night, beat Princess Anne. Oscar Smith Tunstall, a little bit of a deceiving funnel like yours. Tunstall was within 3, Ed, with 5 minutes to go. They brought a ton of people to Green Run. Shout out to them, and they were terrific. We might actually play some of the sound from last week's win over Tunstall with LeVar Griffin if we have time today. It could be a little crunched for that from the Classic. Some people get a little sound from the Classic. And, there you have it. So your winners last week, just to recap it. By the way, Gainesville won on what wasn't a buzzer beater, but a game-winning 3 over Cape Henry, who was the only team that came into the event under 500. And their main gun, Sebastian Whitfield, did not play due to injury. Her main weapon as far as top scorer for Mark Hall's Dolphins. And today, as far as the records go, only one team under 500, which is West Springfield, coming down to play Kickingham, who's 7-7, got themselves a big win over Menchville on Thursday. You've got Kings Fork, winners of 9 straight, 12-2 overall, fresh off a 97-point outing against Indian River on Friday night. 12-2 Bulldogs take on West Potomac, who's 13-4. They won at W.T. Woodson last night. Never an easy place to win at. Doug Craig's Cavaliers, who outlasted the Wolverines of West Potomac in 4 overtimes earlier this season. So West Potomac 13-4, Kings Fork 12-2. That'll be your 5 o'clock game after the 3 o'clock game that we had rescheduled from last week with Kecoughtan West Springfield. You've got 11-1 Varina, winners of 8 in a row, 2-time defending state champs in Class 4, taking on the host school in Green Run, who's 11-6 overall. They got a win on Wednesday. We'll hear some sound coming up with Kenny Harris as well as Kassidy Jackson, his point guard, as they beat Salem pretty handily, 49-20 on Wednesday night. Beat First Colonial last night, but in that game against Salem, they held the Sun Devils without a field goal the entire first quarter and the entire fourth quarter. And then your nightcap, the biggie, a matchup with Maury, 17-3, 14-3 in rating scale games, winners of 9 in a row. Brandon Plummer's Commodores against Dwight Robinson's Eagles, who are 14-4, winners of 10 in a row. Coach Robinson now with 398 wins, if my math is right. So a 10-game winning streak against a 9-game winning streak. 2 traditional state tournament fixtures, playoff fixtures with Lancetown and Maury going head-to-head today. Here you see the matchups. So we got some good ones today. And win streaks of 10, 9, 8, and 9 on the line today. How about that? And one's going to get snapped because the 10-game win streak of Lancetown plays the 9-game win streak of Maury. Have fun picking who wins that.
That's going to be that's the kicker game. I lean towards Maury.
Ooh.
But I won't say it out loud because I can.
You just did. What do you mean you don't say it out loud? What do you mean you just did? I hope you have to eat crow with ketchup on it. Not that I'm saying I hope Lancetown wins. I'm saying I hope you have to eat crow with ketchup on it.
Could be Dwight 399 today. Ooh, that's a tough one. I think Varina's going to knock Green Run down. Sorry, Kenny.
Man, you're making friends with Robinson and Harris from the beach. Good, nice. I see you won't be going to Virginia Beach anytime soon. Who you got in the Kings Fork? You want to make your Suffolk rivals angry too while you're at it? Go ahead.
They're going to win that one. Kings Fork will win that one.
Okay.
And I'm going to Kecoughtan slot. I'm going to go Kecoughtan over West Springfield.
Okay. And again, the winners last week, if you're just tuning in from the Classic, you see it on the ticker there, but in your MVPs, you see them scrolling across with that as well. But you had the likes of, in alphabetical order here as it's scrolling across the ticker here, your winners featured the likes of Catholic over Forest Park, 56-51. And shout out to Braden Thorne, by the way, the MVP. He won over 1,000 career points last night. Gainesville over Cape Henry, 52-50. Kellum over Franklin, 60-45. Kempsville over Monacan, 80-41. Oscar Smith over Tunstall, 65-51. And Peninsula Catholic over Lancaster, 60-47. E.J. Joyner, the son of Hampton University coach Edward Buck Joyner, was the MVP there for Trevor Dorsey's Knights, who are on a long win streak, if I remember right, too. I think they've won about 10 or 11 in a row. And no scoring record was broken as far as individual points, but we'll see if that changes coming up today. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Hatfield and Young at the PLEX or by remote. We'll be back in the PLEX studios soon as they're fixing up the studios for us to be back probably in February. So we'll probably be back there as we get closer and closer to springtime. And I know we'll be making some jaunts to the state tournament and things of that nature as we get closer to the springtime and the winter sports season winding down. But you did have a battle last night. You care to give some thoughts or some comments about your game from last night against the Smith Tigers, who are number 1 in the state in Class 6?
We knew, obviously, playing a team that good coming in. I mean, they're a district rival. We know how good they are. We've seen them and scouted them and looked at a few things. It was interesting early. Our energy was good. We got an early lead, made a few mistakes, and the big thing they do is capitalize on mistakes. They thrive on mistakes. They turn them into points, and they did that. I think you said, if I'm not mistaken, they went on a 14-0 run. We try to stop that with substituting. I think my guys convinced me for a timeout to slow some things down.
But I thought, watching the game real quick, that outside of that run, I thought you played them about as even Steven as anybody could say they have all year. Now, Hampton beat them in overtime this year. That's their only blemish. That was an MABC showcase a couple weekends ago at Atlantic Shores. But I thought outside of that run, that little 3 to 4 minute segment to end the first quarter, I thought you were pretty much within a couple of possessions, a possession or two with them, which I think is progress for your team. Would you not concur?
Yeah, I was really encouraged with our beginning of our third quarter effort. We got it all the way to down one a couple times with tremendous effort, great defense, hitting shots that we needed to hit. Crowd energy was unbelievable. It was a really good back and forth at that point. If you look at the middle two quarters, I don't have my book handy, but the middle two quarters, second and third, I think we outscored them by 11. And then the first and fourth quarter, they outscored us by 18, I think it was, something of that nature. And then at the end, of course, we had to, resort to some fouling to try to stop the clock. Hope they'll miss a shot, which they made a lot of their free throws. And when you do that, that's not a good sign. We rushed again in certain points. We rushed some shots, rushed some offense. But you're right. We played them close. Played a very good team. A number one ranked team in the state. Very close, with opportunities to get leads and hold them. But they do a very good job of shaking you down. They can, as I said, score from every position. Jarvis came in. LaRon Jarvis did not start the game. Normally stars did not start the game, but he came off the bench, and I think in the fourth quarter alone, he scored 9 points. It seemed like he got every single defense rebound for them. And the only thing that I'm going to talk negative is they're a very physical team. They will touch you the whole game. Very similar to Kings Fork. And we played mostly zone and matchup, some man-to-man. And second half, and again, this will sound like sour grapes, so I'll just say it and get on with it. I thought we should have went to the foul line a lot more times in the second half than we did. We ended up going to the foul line 4 times in the second half. And I think they went 18 or 19. But again, towards the end of the game, we did foul. They play that physical man-to-man, and there were some calls there that I was jumping on that we could have got. But by no means did we lose the game because of poor officiating. We lost that game because we made a few mistakes here and there, and Oscar Smith is very good. And the officiating, for the most part, those guys did a good job. It was just there were times where I just thought the bump and run was in play, and we ain't playing football, and we need to get to the foul line to stop the clock, get some free points. But now we just got to hope we refocus. We got 3 games next week, and get back into it with only 3 wins, and see where it takes us. February's a big month. That's where you really got to generate where you're going to be in terms of hopefully for regional situation. And then, I told our team last night after the game, they had heads down and worn out. That's a regional type, state type game. And if we can hang like that with those type of teams, but win, because you lose those in a regional, you're done. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. And I was proud of the effort, not proud of the outcome, proud of the effort. And I think they gave me all they could.
All right. Well, can you hear me? By the way, my audio is acting funky on my end. You got me?
Perfect.
You got me? Okay. Good to know.
I mean, there's a lot of times I don't want to hear you, but I understand that. I'm doing it right.
Well, you almost were talking literally by yourself for the rest of the show because my laptop was getting ready to die, and I got the little notification on my screen. So I went to panic mode while you were giving your synopsis of your game. But it's good to know my laptop is charging, and we are rocking and rolling. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to share a neat video when we come back from break. We don't have any fact or fiction today, but we do have NFL picks conference championship style after Ed Young's perfect 3-0 week last week, ladies and gents. I mean, he got to pick Christian McCaffrey to get a touchdown. I mean, maybe today he'll take minus 4,000. The sky is blue on Sunday. There will be at least 1 touchback, and there will be at least 1 punt in the AFC title game. Those are
That's almost my parlay.
There you go. I mean, you might have to lay $5 million to win $1 with that, but my gosh, I mean, yeah, McCaffrey scored not once but twice, so yeah,
I got the win on that. I'll let the cat out of the cage because I don't know why we put cats in the bag when they say.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't do that.
Good adjustment.
McCaffrey will score a touchdown today.
McCaffrey? No, he won't score a touchdown today. I will take that to the bank. He won't because they don't play today.
Well, let's do it. Let's say tomorrow. And
I mean, if you want to make that for today, I'll
all 4 quarterbacks that are left, all will throw touchdown pass tomorrow.
Really?
All four.
Throwing all four.
We'll throw a touchdown pass tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm betting that parlay.
Okay. Take your word for it.
Good. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get me $1.65.
Okay. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with more here with Hatfield and Young at the Plex, including a couple of interviews, and we'll do the picks at the end as well. You're watching on Cova Sports TV. You can always comment, interact with us, drop us a nugget or two, a line or two, and we'll hear from some of our sponsors that make it possible for us to do this with you each and every week. So stay tuned. Be back with you in just a moment.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Man, I wish I was out there. Let's unretire. Why not?
Ready, Moss.
Dan Marino? You alright? Hey, Grandpa! Grandpa? I still got it.
22.
Can we again? Number 13. Let's see. Hey. I need that senior discount. That's the game. Mr. Marino, you mind if I take a selfie? Thank you.
I'm good right here, bro.
Unretirement? Who'd be dumb enough to do that?
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Cheeseburger Lovers Deal. 2 singles for $5 or 2 doubles for $7 for a limited time. So, how is it? Deal this good speaks for itself, I guess. DQ, happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
All right, we're back here with 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Hatfield and Young at the Plex on Cova Sports TV, also streaming on VirginiaPreps.com, 757 Sports Talk, as well as on our Facebook page with Cova Sports. YouTube, we're available everywhere. Like, share, and subscribe to that. You'll get notifications when we go live for things, including our man Jack Lowe, Ed, who provided some commentary and some action from the games. We had some play-by-play, and you got to see the footage on YouTube. And we'll also have some full game HD DVDs available, as well as subscriber material for the viewers of the site from our man Dan the Man Trevino, available for those that want to watch the games in full HD. Like coaches type film. But did you get a chance to catch any of that up on our YouTube Cova Sports TV page with Jack there from last week? I know you don't lie. I know you did your scout homework and probably saw a couple snippets of Oscar Smith and Tunstall. Don't lie.
Yeah, I would say that because of that.
Then you just told a fib. There you go.
Yeah, I'm thinking in terms of everybody. I didn't really get a chance because
go back and watch some of it. And then we'll have it for you on VirginiaPreps.com if you want to watch the full game in HD quality. There you go.
Yeah, because I had to look at Smith. Definitely had to look. And by the way, Austin Smith plays Lake Taylor today.
They do in another showcase. And by the way, did you see what we just flashed on the screen as we came back from break? I don't think you did because you were looking at your phone.
I thought you tried to get that by without no comment. I'm here to make comment.
Oh, wait. Let's show it again for those that didn't see it.
Yeah,
we'll flash it again here. This was last Sunday at the nation's capital. Someone was the co-capital and co-captain. Here, we want to thank Capital One, the Wizards, and everybody involved with that. Back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here, Ed, for the chance to win $100. Can you name the two co-captains that were with me at center court?
That's what I wanted to say. They took two dudes out of the stands and dressed them.
Oh, they did.
Who were those guys?
Well, the guy on the right you have seen before at the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament for the Denver Nuggets from Clemson, Hunter Tyson.
Okay. Okay. You got me on that one. That's Hunter Tyson.
How about the guy for the Wizards? You have no idea, do you?
Third row, section 6.
It was he's from France. By the way, I would be lying if I told you I knew who the two were because they did not tell me in advance who they were. And I will say this. By the way, the Wizards guy was Bilal Koulibaly, who they did have a jersey in the team store for like $500. I'm exaggerating on the exact price, but there's a lot of stuff in the team store is a little high. Matter of fact, if I can find it here in my room, I'll show you my souvenir I did get in a second. I got to look for it here in my mansion that I've got in the background here. So give me a moment as you can comment about this. But Nikola Jokic, Ed, was about as close to me as Vinny is to you on the court. Walked literally right by me.
And he's huge, correct?
Listen, he's not overly athletic. He's not fast, but watching him play for a game. And it's funny, our good friend Mark Butts, former First Colonial basketball coach, Virginia wasn't Hall of Famer, texted me as we were exiting the arena that he said, is he as good in person as he is on TV? And I'll tell you, he's better. He made a couple passes that I would tell you the guy he reminds me, and I wasn't around to see him live, but you remember Bill Walton, the big redhead. Right. He's the best passing big man since Walton. He might be better. He probably will go down as a better pro because Walton had the injuries that derailed his NBA career from being what he was viewed to be and what an unbelievable college player he was, viewed as one of the 4 or 5 best college players of all time with guys like, obviously, Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Pistol Pete Maravich, among others. But no, I think he's just incredible. He does some things out there that are wondrous on the court. He really is. He almost had a triple-double with about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And he just missed the triple-double, by the way.
The guy's amazing. And you're right. He looks like, and as non-athletic as you can be, I think he's a smoker, as a lot of the European players are. He can play. I mean, he plays within his framework, which most of the European players do that. They are so skilled that they really spend time on skill sets in terms of, instead of trying all the crazy, flashy stuff. You mentioned that passing big men. Bill Walton. I wish people could have seen Bill Walton in his prime, before injuries. Tremendous fundamental big man, learned the game perfectly, could shoot the bank shot, shoot the corner jump shot. I dare say it could have been a 3-point shooter, but his passing was unbelievable. And another guy, I don't think you saw play, Sabonis.
Oh, yeah, Arvydas Sabonis. No, I saw him play. He played against my Utah Jazz with Karl Malone and John Stockton. I saw too much of him, to be honest with you.
He was another one that was a tremendous passer for a big man, which you wouldn't think big guys don't pass and trying to score it close to the basket. But tremendous. The best passer I think I've ever seen, and you mentioned his name, is Pistol Pete Maravich. The guy just, again, another one, injuries late in his pro career, and everybody thought he was a gunner, just shot it all the time. Averaged 44 points for his career in college. We 4 to 3-pointer. Unbelievable. But you got to see a good one. But now the jinx. Let's see. Have the Wizards won since you've been there? Answer no. But they didn't win much before you came.
No, don't win that on me.
Got Unseld fired. So I want that to go on record.
I didn't get him fired.
Hatfield goes on the court. Unseld gets fired. Young ain't never got nobody fired, especially on the pro level. And this joker does. And now we got to see what happens to Denver. Denver has only won 1 game since you've seen them play.
They've played like 2 or 3. Hold on. Come on now. No, don't go there. By the way, you see this little neat souvenir I got? A little bouncy ball. My niece loves this thing. It just bounces up and down the house. She might break some of the windows. I gotta tell her don't do that. Keep it away from the piano back there. Careful.
Well, you got your name announced on the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
Of course, 99% of the audience said, "Who's that, Yobi?" And then you were in the suite. You sent me a picture in the suite.
Listen,
foods galore.
I didn't. Did I show you the food? I did show you the food.
Yeah, you showed the food. You showed the food before a wind came through and took it all. and we'll leave it at that. But yeah, you had it nice. You had it. You almost was like big money guy sitting up there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Speaking of coaches, when you talked about Unseld, what is your reaction before we go to break here about Adrian Griffin at 30-13 overall? We talked about football coaches last week with our was it our buy or sell with the coaches, football coaches, where Harbaugh would end up, who's with the Chargers, where Belichick would end up, who's not anywhere yet, where this guy, that guy. In the NBA, you can be David Blatt and be 30-11, and because LeBron James wants you gone, you're gone. That happened 7 years ago, and they went on to win the championship with Ty Lue, so it worked. The Bucks, I mean, and Doc Rivers, whatever you think about him, good or bad, he's viewed obviously as a legend because he went to Marquette in that state. He's won a championship before. It just seems kind of odd when you hear stories that he's been mentoring Adrian Griffin all year, and the next thing you know, they're replacing him with Doc, and they're 30-13, second best record in the East, and they're gone. I mean, he's gone. Like, it's rough. I mean, Giannis and Dame Lillard supposedly, and by the way, you'll hear from Dame Lillard in one of our commercials with Gatorade, which is one of our proud sponsors. You get to see Dame Lillard and Shannon Sharp every week with us on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. But it puts a lot of pressure on the Greek Freak and Dame time to get it done, doesn't it? I don't think it puts pressure on Doc because he's walking in the situation where, all right, fellas, it's a players' league. It's a superstar league. You better deliver. And the Celtics are still at the top, and Embiid scoring 70, as did Luka last night. And the Eastern Conference will be a lot trickier, I think, to get out of than in previous years.
Going to be tough. My reaction when I first heard it, first of all, when Adrian Griffin got hired, I don't know if I said it on our show or to you probably, but it was a bad pick, a bad selection for that team.
Agree.
That team is good, very good. The
word was it was Giannis's hand-picked selection for him to coach the team, and Mike Budenholzer. And by the way, as you know, and I went on radio rants about this, I feel bad for him losing his brother during the playoffs. I was not a Coach Bood. Coach Bood.
You got him fired too. You complained about him.
He's
so
a great regular season coach who does not adjust and coaches the same way in the playoffs. He does not adjust in the playoffs. He coaches the same exact way. He takes Giannis out with 2.5 minutes to go in a 1-point game like it's a regular season. You can't do that in the playoffs. Can't do it. You cannot do it. You can't do somebody's Mickey Mouse. You can't.
You got to keep your stud in playoffs. You keep your stud in until pretty much.
He does. Trust me. I've been invested in a lot of Bucks games. I'll leave it at that. He did some weird things that made you scratch your head and bang your head. But anyhow, go on with your point about Adrian Griffin.
Right, and make your wallet get thinner. It was I thought a bad selection at the time. And that team needed a veteran guy, keep the ship afloat. You've got pretty good players. The NBA is so player-driven, that way more than the other sports, major sports, way more. That, as you mentioned, if the superstar is not happy, the coach is gone. Only personalities like Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, who else? San Antonio. Oh, my God.
Greg Popovich?
Pops. Yeah. Only personalities like that are going to overcome a storm of a superstar complaining. You always hope your best player is your hardest worker, your most motivated, your earliest arrive in practice, your last one to leave. It makes things so much easier. If he's not, you're in trouble. Giannis is a very, very good player, but he's a little bit of a prima donna to him. I love the guy. Well, I don't know him, but I mean, I love him in terms as a player and whatever.
He's very likable, yep. Yeah. He's got charisma to him and a charm, yep.
And the thing about it is, at 30-13 and you get fired, if that doesn't show you that league is 1,000% player driven, there's nothing else we can do for you. That's the way it was. It was not working. They showed some video later of Adrian Griffin taking Giannis out, Twice he waved him off. Once he went out, complained, and then he went back on the court and they took the guy out for it. That doesn't happen.
Well, how about Terry Stotts, by the way, stepping down right as the season was getting underway? Right. That was a red flag, then. Something wasn't right there.
When Lillard got hired, Stotts left because Lillard can be a little cantankerous from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, but no, the word was that he and Stotts did see eye to eye, and it bugged Dame. I don't know. We'll see how this all,
Rivers is interesting. A reason, there's a lot more behind the story that we'll never know.
He left Doris Burke and Mike Breen hanging. Come on.
Well, they may be okay with that. Those two are veterans, superstars on the broadcasting part, so they can handle that. And they're not even going to replace them. They're going to stay with the two. But with Doc, you got a Marquette legend, NBA player, proven coach and winning, but I've heard more negative about him being hired in terms of blowing playoff leads consistently. So now it's going to be, okay, what does he do with this team? And if he blows it again, do they bring him back? Whatever. I'm not sure.
Good question.
But it's a sad, because Adrian Griffin is a pro. Because a lot of times college coaches will get hired and fired quickly because you can't use a college mentality coaching pros. But Adrian Griffin is a pro guy. He's been an assistant a long time. So that's an interesting dynamic here. And a lot remains to be seen as to what they're really going to do. But he's out. And of course, the Wizards dumped Unseld, which was a mistake when they hired him too. I thought a great assistant, not really head coach for a program, franchise that needs some serious help in terms of getting the players, which one of my favorite teams is heading that way too, and that being the Charlotte Hornets. They are just a disaster also. Players just don't want to go there. And then they just traded probably their best player, Terry Rozier, to Miami.
Yeah. So, scary Terry as Kyle Lowry gets dealt and Kyle Lowry be traded again. So
yeah,
it all unfolds.
Not keeping him. So, but it's interesting. Derek, no, we can't go to Hatfield's mansion. And the private gym in there doesn't hold enough. And Derek, I don't think you've heard, he breaks into this lady's apartment, couple's apartment to do the show. I don't know how he gets away with it. So we'll leave it at that. But it do not have a gym, but he does have a pool. He could host some high school swim meets if he wanted, but he's selfish and he keeps the pool to himself.
We're going to take another time out, come back with the conversation with Kenneth Harris as well as Kassidy Jackson, the point guard for the Stallions, who's a junior, had a big game for them in their victory, their triumph over the Salem Sun Devils. And we'll get you set for the Classic today, as well as maybe a couple idle thoughts on the high school hoop scene. Next week, we'll start unveiling some power rankings and standings we have to get Ed Young's thoughts on some of that across the regions, if you will. And we'll do NFL picks to close out this edition of the podcast. It's Hatfield and Young, 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Now this from our cast of sponsors. Enjoy.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we welcome everybody back to Hatfield and Young at the PLEX podcast here. My partner, Matt Hatfield, had the opportunity to speak with a couple people involved in a big win. Green Run High School over Salem this past Wednesday. Crazy score. I think it was 49, something like 49-20. The star of that game, Kassidy Jackson, player first. We're going to speak to Kassidy. Matt Hatfield is going to speak to Kassidy first. And then Coach Kenneth Harris will follow up and give his expertise on that. So let's give it a listen and see what happens.
All right, here with Green Run point guard Cash Jackson. Steins won it by a count of 49-20. Jackson finishing up with 8 points, 9 assists, just 1 turnover, and 4 steals. Cash, take me through this game. Salem, you've played some close games with them, low scoring before, but do you walk out of here at all surprised? Not so much that you won, but you held them without a basket the whole first quarter and the whole fourth quarter, which is not easy to do in high school hoops, no matter who you're playing.
I just feel like it was all about execution and preparing. That's a tough team, and that team gets really when they get going, when they get hot, they can really score the ball well, and that's what we wanted to prevent. That's what we did.
Sure, they have 3 capable guards that you're familiar with, having seen them in the regional semis last year at Scope: Kamon Khan, Timothy Mobley, Timothy James Jr. What was the mindset coming in? I know you guys had lost a tough game yesterday to Kellum. Was it just kind of come up with a better start?
Yeah, starting off better and, containing. That team was really tough, and I just feel like the way they play, if we came off starting bad, they would have ran straight through us.
How do you guys get off to better starts? Because you are now 10-6 on the year. You still control your own destiny as far as the region goes, getting back to states. But it feels like if you all just get off to better starts, some of the games you've had close battles with, I know Lansdowne in particular overtime, Cape Henry, some other games, Kempsville, you guys could have even a better record and be a better team, right?
Yeah, it was all about pregame. And our pregame, that's what we've been focusing on before the game, warm-ups, just focus. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What's different in your role? You've been starting since your freshman year. You're now a junior, from sophomore to junior season. What's kind of changed in your game, and what are you working on in your craft?
Pretty much my athleticism, my strength, my speed. That's really what we've been focusing on. Passing, never been my problem. It's just scoring. Yeah.
Any PGs when you watch hoops at night, or you're watching hoops at TV, College Pro, that you try to study and emulate and put some elements from their games into your own? Anybody you like to watch and model after? Or?
I like Shea from the Thunder.
Okay.
And a little bit of Ja Morant. That's
not bad. Ja and Shea, Gilgis Alexander, 2 of the better ones. A couple more, let you run here. For you guys to do what you did a season ago as far as win the region.
That's my PG1.
There you go. When your teammates shouting you out. For you guys to get back to states, what's it going to require? Because it feels like your region is sort of wide open again like it was last year, and you guys got hot at the right time.
Consistency. That's all that is. If we play like that, I feel like we can be anybody.
Sure. I know you got a game coming up on Friday against First Colonial, but coming up Saturday in our Virginia Preps Classic, you play Varina, defending state champ. They have one of the better point guards in the state, and KJ Weiss. How excited are you for that opportunity, that matchup coming up?
It's going to be a great game. That's a tough team. They won states last year, and I feel like if we come out hot and come out playing hard, we can definitely get one.
Good win for Coach Harris and Kassidy Jackson this time. We'll see you on Saturday. Thanks so much. So there you heard it. That was Cash Jackson with us here. Hatfield and Young at the Plex. Green Run a winner 49-20 over Salem. We'll hear from Coach Harris in just a moment. But your thoughts on the young man who's really maturing. Ed, 7 assists, 1 turnover, not a bad ratio. And they got Varina today. But last year they were a 6 seed, as you remember, losing record, not like Green Run. We kind of wrote them off come playoff time. But that region, you were once in that region. You went from 5A to 5B. In a lot of respects, I imagine you like to be back in that region. Not that you would necessarily win it, but it's not as top-heavy where you've got a defending state champ, undefeated Woodside. You have Menchville. You have, by the way, the 8 seed right now is Kickingham at 7-7. That's the 8 seed. But you have Norview, Maury, the likes of teams that are really good. Kings Fork, who moved up from Class 4 to your region. But that region, the 5, 6, 7, 8 seed, you have to beware because they can bite the ankles of the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds come February.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the difference between A and B. We've hashed it out before. You would have to be a blind person or just totally clueless not to believe that B overall is better than A, and those teams in the middle of B would win A. I'm not saying easy.
Would win or could win A?
would win. And I'll leave it at that. But the teams in A they're very good too, and you got to come to play.
Mm-hmm.
So before people get their coaching whistle all in a blunder, Green Run will be a factor. I'm surprised that score was Salem. You tell me Salem
was there.
Scored 20
They
points.
just lost at home by double digits to Kellum the night before. And you know who's looking like, now the one seed hasn't really dominated that region, but Kempsville is defending at a high level right now. If they bring that pack of defense to that region, they could be the one seed in, I wouldn't say coast, but they'll be hard to beat if they play that level of defense. Now, it's about matchups. Like Kellum's beaten Green Run twice. Salem might match up with this team, or Princess Anne might match up with this team, or Indian River might match up with this team. Kellum's beaten Green Run twice, but I think Green Run, they've beaten Kempsville once, lost to them by 1. It's the only game in the last 7-8 it's been single digits. So that might not be the matchup that's favorable for Kempsville should they see them in the semis. You'd rather see them in the championship if you're probably Coach Sandlin and the Chiefs, if you will.
Yeah. If Darren is running that defense and those kids are playing it and they're hyped up, their energy, they're believing in it, that's going to carry you through those times when the ball doesn't go in the hole. Even though they say defense wins championships, you got to score points because I say most points wins. So you're going to have to be able to score points also. Also, when you get into playoff time, if you've been there before, veteran coaches, veteran players, that helps a lot. Veteran players more so than veteran coach. It helps a lot. And you got to ride your stud. Now, if you don't have a stud, then you better have 4 or 5 guys that can score it. 4 or 5 guys that are really hype on defense all the time. And when I say ride a stud, if you got a guy that can pretty much score, and he's going to draw attention to himself and maybe be able to get other people to score, he's going to be your anchor on defense. He's going to get a rebound. He's going to get a key assist. He's going to get a key screen when needed, key stop. That helps you out too in playoff time. But I'm not saying you have to have a stud to win to go on. Don't hear me wrong. I'm saying when you have that person and he's done well all year and you've got some wins where, as coaches will say, boy, thank God we had so-and-so because he got us through every times in the game. That's going to help. But it will be interesting. Come playoff time, I always say everybody's 0-0 and it's wide open. I look at our region 5B and I think you put it out or you said something this week about where people are. And I'm thinking we just got to keep fighting to try to get in. And we are up a little bit higher than I thought. But my actions are we're at best 8. At best,
well,
8.
Unofficially in your region right now, and they are taking 8, thankfully, finally, as opposed to 6, which they did in the past. And I think last year you were the 6 seed playing the 3 seed Maury at Norview. Your 4-5 game, if I recall, was that Norview and Woodside? I think it was Norview and Woodside, right?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the 4-5. And then, of course, Woodside goes on to win the state championship from that bracket. And in the last 2 years, 1 seed Menchville 22-0 bounced. 1 seed Kickingham 20-1 bounced by Menchville the season before. But I think it's Woodside 1 unbeaten, Kings Fork 2, Maury's 3 on a 9-game winning streak with just 3 losses this year. I think Norview's now nudged ahead of you at 4, tie for 5th is you and Menchville, who lost to Kickingham. 7th seed is Bethel. 8th seed is Kickingham. Those 2 teams, like you said, if you put them in A, I don't know if I would necessarily go as far as to say this year they would win 5A, but they would have a chance. I think any of those 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would have a chance. But before I get to the Kenneth Harris interview, I want to get your thought on something real quick. You said marquee player, which I totally agree with. You can get on any level. We've seen it the smaller levels, like Troy Henderson for Lancaster, who played last week in the Classic, a Mac McClung in Class 2 from Gate City. We've seen some, wondrous players over the years in state tournaments at the Class 3, 2, and 1 levels. I don't know that there's a lot of good players in areas. So don't take what I'm saying wrong out there, audience and fans, if you're listening. Is there one marquee boys basketball player? I think on the girls' side, you might have a couple of big names like a Soraya Griffin from Menchville, who used to play at Kings Fork. She's going to VCU. You have the freshman at PA, Ojo, who's fabulous. I'm not sure the boys' game right now has that one difference-making players because your top 2 teams viewed as right now in Hampton Roads are probably, however you want to order it, Woodside, Lake Taylor, Woodside. There's some teams right there lurking that aren't far behind with the Oscar Smiths, the Lansdowns, the Morys, a couple private schools like your Norfolk Collegiates out there, a given night, Catholic or Peninsula Catholic, whoever, whatever. I mean, Hampton will leave them out too. The Crabbers have beaten Oscar Smith head-to-head. Kings Fork, very, very good. You've played them in your district. But does any of those teams have that one Division I, a hallmark mid-major to high-major Power 5 player? I don't think we have it. I think this is a rare year where we don't have that, that James Michael McAdoo, that Dorian Finney-Smith, that Mark Williams, if you will. We don't have that level guy in the area, do we?
Definitely, in my opinion, I don't think we have a high major player. Some guys who might be able to play mid-major level. And again, nebulous term, mid-major, high major, low major. Everybody thinks they're high major.
But what I'm getting at more than anything is whatever level recruiting, if they're ACC, I'm getting at, we don't have that one bona fide takeover player. Now, maybe someone emerges and has a hot tournament, like you remember a few years ago, Jonathan Norfleet did that for Salem. Went on to Wagner, now plays in Division II to Virginia State. There are some names that are capable of doing that, but I don't think anybody's kind of established or cemented themselves as that one or two go-to guy. Get on my back. I'm going to carry you to the championship.
Right. Now, Woodside has a host
of guys that could do that. And Trevor Smith last year, who went to Richmond, was that player of the year guy. Silas Bork, still their big guys, very good. They have some other pieces, the guards, a Messiah Stevens Wells for Coach Stephon Wells. But there's not one or two players that I say is that definite takeover guy separating himself so far. You might have a couple of those on the girls' side that did that. And last year, case in point, Hampton had that with Kennedy Harris, who's now at George Mason.
Right. There are your top teams, and I'm looking at, guys that we play, teams we play, region that we're probably involved in. There are guys on teams that they can play Division I. I think they're Division I player.
Sure.
I don't think they're mid. I don't think they're high, but they're Division I player. They're a scholarship player, and there's nothing wrong with that. We get hung up on what level and what all that is crazy, but there are players out there who are very good, and will definitely help. You got to focus in on them. Lake Taylor, which leads Region 3, if I'm not mistaken.
3A, yep.
They've got a couple. They got the 6'6" kid in Washington inside. They got a tremendous guard. Yeah. And when you have a tremendous guard and good guard play, high school especially, you're going to go a ways. You're definitely going to go a ways because you got to protect the ball.
Well, what takes, and I haven't seen Lake Taylor a few times in person, including that Iverson showcase over there at Bethel and Hampton, is they have the size with, obviously, you mentioned Washington is going to Syracuse for football, Elijah Washington Moss, and then another, 6'8" aircraft guy in Romello Baines. But not just that, they have a lead guard in Aaron Elliott who's good, but they can pressure you defensively to go with that size, and they can be physical with you, paint or perimeter. So they have the combination of factors to do it.
Well, as a matter of fact, there's a great matchup today, Lake Taylor and Oscar Smith.
Yeah.
Two top teams in the respective regions, state level. So that's going to be interesting to see how that outcome will make itself to be. But we still got some good basketball left. I mean, there's still a lot of games and a lot of maneuvering that has to happen. Mm-hmm. And good morning to Dan. Always like Dan checking in, and he's Interstate 81. They probably got a ball game today also. But Dan, put up there who you play today and where. Also, again, there's a lot more games to be played as to we see who goes where and what happens. And then once we get into the playoff, and it'll be fun to see, okay, who we think. I just think, on the 5A level, Woodside is just going to be a very, 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 very tough beat. And
listen, I think they're a prohibited Class 5 state title favorite this year, whereas last year you had about 7 or 8 teams, and that's even saying with Potomac Falls outside of the area, the region, being unbeaten as the number 2 team in our Class 5 rankings on Virginia Preps. That's even with them there, but Woodside is hands down a favorite. However, having said that, do you want to go into the tournament undefeated and have to see Kings Fork or more in the semifinals? Because the last 2 times that's happened where teams had 1 loss, no losses, they got sent home back. And Bethel played them to a 6-point game just this past week. So anything goes.
Right. That's right. We've had it said before by the coaches, and I've kind of said it too. When you're undefeated and you think your team's getting fat-headed, it's kind of, you want to lose a little earlier towards the playoffs than later. Get them refocused, and then let's go full steam ahead. You don't want that pressure. But I got a feeling Woodside, that's not going to be a big deal to them. I really don't. I don't.
It shouldn't be.
They'll feel pressure like, oh, we're undefeated. We got to. They're defending champs. And I'm sure their goal is to get back and win it again, because the only better feeling than win a state title is win another one. So I'm sure that that's going to be in their mindset, and Coach Welsh will have that. A youngster who, when he was a youngster, won a couple himself. So with his team at Woodside, so that possibility is there. And again, you play the games. That's why they play the games. They're all going to be on the courts. Upsets happen because you got to remember, you get into regional play, teams are pretty good. There's a reason they're there. And if they don't, they'll figure it out somehow, some way. And you made a great point. It's all about matchups, who's doing what. And again, we're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-old kids who anything can happen in their mindset. And all of a sudden, one game, who team is this? Yeah. And it's not the same team you just had. It just happened. We do that possession to possession. We'll look great. I'll go get a sip of water and turn around, and it's like, where did the team go? We were just up 4, now we're down 9. How did that happen? It's just how things go. And one of our problem is, I think overall we lack leadership, defined leadership. That somehow we're still winning games and getting through, but you need that as you move on. You need leadership. Somebody can calm it all down, bring it back to what it needs to be. And a lot of those teams have it.
Let's get to the interview with Coach Harris. You heard from Kassidy Jackson. Here's the head man of the Stallions with us on Cova Sports TV, Hatfield and Young on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. All right, I'm here with Green Red Head basketball coach Kenneth Harris. His Stallions win it by a count of 49-20 over the Salem Sun Devils to move to 10-6 on the season. Coach, you've been at Green Run 16 years. This is your 256th career win. Have you ever shut out a team in the first quarter? And was that the best defensive performance for a segment of 8 minutes that you've had in your tenure?
I honestly don't think that was I think that was the first time. But, I think, yesterday left a bad taste of how we played. And we're getting adjusted to the schedule. So we had to kind of adjust some things. And then our game planning need to be a little bit more tougher and a little bit more where we gotta make stops. And I thought we were moving fast. I thought we were getting to the ball fast. I mean, I thought they came to play today. So that's what we needed. We need energy, and I felt like we had the energy.
You referenced yesterday a loss to Kellum, a quality team that swept you this year. You've had some double-digit deficits early in games. That game, as well as Lansdowne battled back, Cape Henry battled back. Another game I'm forgetting you had a double-digit deficit against as well. But was part of the game plan tonight to come out with the full court pressure to establish that energy with your defense to lead into the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how we can get our energy. Like I said, we're trying to find energy and trying to find the best. I'm still looking for matchups. Who's best out there on the court. I know that's crazy going into this game about 15 or something, but it's kind of crazy that I'm still trying to find good lineups to be successful.
Was some of that, too, also caused by, you got a couple of football guys back in Kassan, Farrar, and Knowledge Harold, both of whom gave you quality minutes tonight, have done so this season, as well as you had first game of the year against Kempsville. Elijah Ellison, one of your starters, goes down, probably lost for the season.
Yeah, I mean, we got and a lot of new guys. A lot of people may think, that we're kind of experienced, but we're really not. I mean, we only have 2 experienced players with Trey and Cass. The rest of them, JV kids, some of them didn't get no playing time last year. Football kids that has not played. Knowledge, I mean, he hadn't played 5 years. So, I've coached all his brothers, so he decided he wanted to play. And I appreciate football guys because they are going hard for me. They're listening. And we got a freshman in Tajon that's going to be pretty good as well, football and basketball.
Yeah, Tajon Palmer giving you 6 points off the bench. We'll get to the subs in a second, but you mentioned 2 of those returnees from your region title run last year, and David Trey Miller, Cass Jackson. I felt like even though Salem cut that deficit from 17 down to 12, had a couple of glimmers of hope as they hit the half, that your point guard tonight, Cass Jackson, he had firm control of the game, 7 assists versus 1 turnover. What are you seeing out of his growth?
I mean, he's doing a good job, and a lot of times, when we lose, he takes the bulk of the punishment and the critics, but he stays in it, man. He's watching film. He's with us. We with him all the time, man, and we stay the course. That's what he does, and him and Big Trey, they're good leaders, and we're trying to see how far we can take it.
Couple more let you run. They say come playoff time, whether it be the pros, the March Madness, NCAA tournament, even high school, that teams shorten their rotation. That being said, how important is it that you establish bench production with some of these new guys? You do have a couple of seniors even on that bench than Sorrell Straker, Trey Cooper to go with Palmer. So they could be key for your X factors as you get ready for regionals.
Definitely, man. You know, I'm a next man up guy. So, you know, whoever's ready and they got to play. And I hope we can keep that going into the playoffs. You know, and just find a way everybody's confident and comfortable of being on the floor and you know, sharing the ball. And I think that's one of the keys with us. Like you said, you know, with Cass having 7 assists, that's good. And, you know, that means we're sharing the ball, you know, and I think that's something positive that we need to do.
Lastly, you are now 10-6 on the season. You got 6 regular season games left. First Colonial on Friday night before the big showdown with Varina, defending Class 4 state champ in the Virginia Preps Classic here at Green Run. You know, you've had so many close games, Coach, but last year that was the case, and you didn't get the 1 seed. You were a 6 seed. This year you might not get the 1 seed again. What are you wanting to see as you get ready for a big monster in Varina and that playoff journey coming up?
I mean, just keep getting better. You know, that's our goal, is to keep getting better, you know, to the playoffs. You know, is anybody we're in 5A. You know, you can be an 8th seed. It doesn't matter if you're a 1 seed. You're gonna have to play. So whatever seed we get, you know, is whoever we play. We got to be ready. So I like how the region is tough. I like how the beach is tough. You know, as far, you know, I got First Colonial Friday. I'm not gonna overlook them, you know, and I do know I have you know, with Varina who's very tough. So, you know, we just want to keep getting better, and this is the right time to get better, you know, in January going into February. So if we can hit a stride now, you know, last year was you know, a little different because we really didn't. We never hit a stride. We kind of got lucky in the playoffs. So this year I want to hit a stride and see how we can go. I think with the close games that we've had, it's just helping us through adversity. You know, we've had 4 overtime games, I believe it is. So, I mean, there's a lot of adversity that we've been going through, and we lost 3 of those. So, you know, I just think we're getting better and continue to get after it.
Stallions look to be surging into February. Coach Harris, thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Coach Kenneth Harris of Green Run. They beat Salem on Wednesday, beat First Colonial last night, jumped out to a 23-2 lead, won comfortably in that ball game. So they're 11-6, taking on the reigning 2-time state champions from Varina, who come into today's Virginia Preps Classic at 11-1 overall, 8 consecutive wins. Their point guard, KJ Weiss Jr., Ed, I think he averages around 23 points per ball game. We watched him last year, up for 30-plus points 6 times. I think he had a 42-point game, might have been in the region championship against Matoka. He was the state player of the year. He's back. He is going to be a handful for Coach Harris, Kassidy Jackson, and that Stallions team today in the Classic. As Varina, they've been in the States a lot of years. They were there with Andrew Lacey, and now under Kenneth Randolph, a.k.a. Boom. They continue to produce fine teams, terrific athletes, some multi-sport guys from football, and they're going to be the favorite in Class 4, and people that follow the hoop scene in the 757, 804, especially the Hampton Crabbers, who look to be maybe the favorite out of Region 4A, they could be on a collision course with Varina come state tournament time.
Yeah, I think Kenny has his hands full today with Varina. It's another type of team that scores for all 5 spots, can score. They've got some depth too. They got that tradition, but but Green Run has it too. I mean, I'm not slighting them at all. I'm picking Varina, though nobody asked me, but I'm hoping Green Run wins it. And I'm not surprised at all Green Run wins. Wouldn't be surprised if Green Run wins 8, 9, 10 points. They will not hold Varina to 20 points. That's definite.
I'm not sure anybody will.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen.
I'm not sure the Wizards could do it, by the way.
Yeah, they probably can't.
Probably can't. They probably can't do it. Not with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma on the floor, that's for sure.
But Kenny does a good job with Green Run, and they'll be heard of in the playoffs. One thing about them too, it always seems like somebody steps up out of nowhere. Somebody, he mentioned about who's next one up, that somebody does step up and do something, because they've had some tough injuries over the last few years in playoff time and whatever too, and guys have stepped up. And of course, that's the one thing you never really plan for is injuries. Situations that occur at any game, let alone playoffs.
All right, it's time for us to make some NFL picks. We'll step aside our final commercial break. Coach Young and I will be back with the NFL selections along with Bruce Pearl's picks. It is Hatfield and Young, Cova Sports TV. Now this from our sponsors that make it possible for us at the PLEX.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
At Zoop Eatery, you can build the perfect box lunch, a customizable and individually packaged meal for your convenience. Choose from any of their wide variety of soups, fresh salads, made-to-order sandwiches, all served with a hunk of bread and dessert. There's something for the whole crew at Zoop Eatery.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Every year, thousands of athletes disappear in clutch moments due to falling hydration levels.
I used to go missing all the time. I let everyone down. I even let Shannon Sharp down.
Yeah, you let me down. They've been told how you feel yourself doesn't matter. That electrolytes are all the same. Then just like that, they're gone. Get yourself back in the game. Get yourself a Gatorade. Could be the difference between dominating and disappearing. Gatorade, rehydrate, replenish, refuel.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
All right, it is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield as we are ready for our NFL picks for today in the league where they play for pay. All right, Edward, chance for you to gloat about your wonderful selections last week. You had anytime touchdown for Christian McCaffrey minus 360, which means you had to lay $3.60 to make $1. You did that, right?
I should have, but I didn't.
Okay. He had 2 touchdowns, not 1, but 2 TDs. He had the Washington Wizards, ladies and gentlemen, losing to the Denver Nuggets. Now, that was one of his picks here. He did have.
That's a for sure pick.
Yeah, he had the Detroit Lions minus the 6.5, and they covered that against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he got the job done there. And he had Kansas City plus the 2.5 as they broke the hearts of the Buffalo Bills, 27-24. Bruce lost on the Bills minus 2.5. He also fell victim with Houston plus 9.5. Baltimore winning it comfortably, 34-10. He did get a victory, did Bruce, on Green Bay plus the 10. A lot of value there, and they almost beat the 49ers. Probably should have beat San Francisco, truth be told. 24-21. Niners eked it out. They escaped against the Green Bay Packers, who are now done. But as we flash up on the screen, the latest picks standings on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We will flash them up on the screen when we have them. Oh, we do have them now. All right, here you go. Here are the picks. Ed Young, you and me are tied, sir, as far as the loss column goes. I've got 2 more wins than you. You have 2 more ties than me. Truth be told, Ed has more than 2 ties more than me. He has a lot of ties. I mean, a lot of ties. One of these days, we'll go through his house. We had Derek talk about my mansion. Maybe one of these days, we'll go through Ed's closet and see all the ties he's got.
Yeah, I've got, probably 50.
Yeah,
50, 60 ties. I had a fetish with ties at one time where if it looked good, I bought it no matter what. Detroit win it, but not going to be mad at San Francisco. But there's just something bugging me that it's going to be under that total.
Okay. I do not like San Francisco outright. I think restore the roar, baby. Unless Jared Goff goes out there and craps the bed. And I know Detroit's defense is not as good as San Francisco's defense, but I think San Francisco's defense is living off its reputation from the years past. Now, granted, Fred Warner, Greenlaw, some of those guys on the second level are very good. They've had some studs, Bosa, but their secondary, I think, can be thrown on. And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown will have a big game. So I'm going to go with my first play, a player prop of over 85.5 receiving yards for St. Brown. That's my first pick. And I'm going to take Detroit, like Bruce, plus the 7.5 with this caveat. I think the Lions cover, but I also believe they could win this game outright. Mark this down, save the tape. I don't think it's two chalk favorites, easy, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. San Francisco, Baltimore Super Bowl piece of cake. Rematch of that Monday night game. You can have rematches in a lot of ways. You got a rematch with San Francisco KC from a couple years ago in the Super Bowl, a few years ago. You got a rematch from week 1, Lions Chiefs. You got a lot of rematches. Lions Ravens played during the season. There's going to be some type of rematch here for the Super Bowl coming up, but in 2 weeks. However, I think the Lions will cover the spread and have a great opportunity to be that one dog that wins outright, even though people point towards KC with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, the great QB coach combination. Give me Dan Campbell, Ostrich boy, to get it done for me. Lions and St. Brown with the over on the receiving yards. Now you get to get the next 2 picks, and I'll finish my last pick with something on the KC-Baltimore game.
Well, I'm going to go, since everybody's going to get San Francisco. Give me San Fran and the minus 7.5.
That hook is going to hurt you, maybe. We'll see if it does. All right.
I'm going to go San Fran. And I'm going to go, although I'm a little leery about this. I know everybody's jumping on Baltimore. I'm going to go Baltimore. But if Holmes gets loosey-goose, they can beat Baltimore. That Baltimore defense is pretty strong. The game's in Baltimore. That doesn't matter to Kansas City. These people that think that Kansas City can't win on the road, didn't they just win in Buffalo? Not an easy place to win.
Because they missed a field goal and Knucklehead McDermott decided to do a fake punt. We had that on the TV in the suite, by the way, at the Wizards game.
I think that missed field goal is overrated because there was still a lot of time that's
overrated. And it wasn't a chip shot. It was the wind.
Wasn't Scott Norwood at the buzzer?
Well,
okay, there was still time. Too. So they got lay off the kicker, whoever the dude was.
I mean, I'm not destroying Tyler Bass, but you got to make that kick. But I would destroy more Stephon Diggs. You got to make that catch that went through his hands. You got to make that catch.
Yeah, I would put a little bit more emphasis on that, which you don't hear of at all now. It's always blamed on the kicker. But then again, that's the kicker's job. You sit around for a while until you get called, and then you're expected to make it. So, and he didn't. But give me that, and give me Baltimore and minus 3.5 over Kansas City.
Okay, minus 3.5. You're going to take Baltimore.
But I know I can't make a fourth bet, but I'm telling you, all 4 quarterbacks throw a touchdown pass.
Ooh, that's not a bad parlay.
I want to see what the parlay on that is.
Can I take the same game as you, as much as I hate to do that?
Well, there's only 2 games. I think so. I don't think so.
I think we'll agree for a change. We've not done this all year. I'm going to take Baltimore minus 3.5 as well. As much as I like to take KC with the points, I think the Ravens win this by a touchdown or maybe 10. I think their defense steps up, and I will go Baltimore minus 3.5 to go with Ed on the same pick there. I got Detroit plus 7.5. He has San Fran minus 7.5. He's going under 51.5 with Lions Niners. I'm going over 85.5 receiving yards for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Watch him get 84 or 85, and I'll be throwing my pen through the window or my Washington Wizards ball through the piano back there. And Bruce Pearl.
I can't believe you go to a pro game. You're a special guest. You're at half court, co-captain. You're in the suite. And all you come home with is a small man. I would have came home with a jersey.
I got a Sharpie, too.
I would have a jersey. I would have an NBA ball if I had to go in the locker room and steal it.
No.
I'm getting an NBA ball.
Security would have stopped you. But by the way, I got to see Scott Hastings. Scott Hastings is a funny dude.
Yeah, I remember Scott. He played
it does Nuggets TV now. It does Nuggets TV. Played with the Pistons years ago. Funny guy. And going on the elevator, I passed Christy Winter-Scott, who works for Monumental Sports, does TV analyst work. Obviously, South Lakes legend. Her son plays for South Lakes. Jordan Scott, who we might get to call his state championship game should South Lakes make it that far. They were our preseason number 1 in Class 6. He's being recruited by a boatload of Division I schools, including Michigan State. So yeah, I it was fun. Had a lot of fun. And for those that are just joining us now, real quickly, they can they can see that little co-captain thing as well right here. Here they go. There you have it. You saw the flyer, too, with the Virginia Preps Classic. That's going to close out this show, Ed. It was fun. I might see you over at Green Run later today if you make it there, and we'll do it again next week in February, getting closer to Valentine's Day, where Ed's got to buy some Valentine's gifts.
Oh, boy. That's a tough time, guys. But ladies out there, Valentine, it doesn't say women's Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's period. So keep that in your purse.
Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your family's friends, and your friends' family, and your neighbors, and all their friends and families. 757 Saturday Sports Talk comes your way every weekend through Cova Sports TV on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and VirginiaPreps.com. For Vinny, Ed, Matt Hatfield, and all our special guests, we'll talk to you next time in February from the PLEX. Enjoy your weekend.